be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast, be the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way the words do when they settle neath your skin. Kept on the inside and no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. Just wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I just wanna see you. I wanna see you be brave. Everybody's been there, everybody's been stared down by the enemy. Falling for the fear and dancing, disappearing, bow down to the mighty. But don't run, stop holding your tongue. Maybe there's a way out of the cage where you live. Maybe one of these days you can let the light in. Show me how big your brave is. Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Innocence, your history of silence won't do you any good. Did you think it would? Let your words be anything but empty. Why don't you tell them the truth? Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be Gotta be brave to sing this song. Damn, Ty.
All righty. Wow. And welcome back to the tail end of the Quantum Leap Forum. It is day 2. And as we wrap up this program with just a few more special surprise guests, we thought we would bring in the Goldilocks Band yet again. And thank you guys for producing that song and allowing us to exclusively premiere it right here on the LA Tribune Forum. And we're so excited to talk a little bit more in depth with the Goldilocks Band. And, you know, right now it's really interesting because, folks, bands have a tradition of being able to earn a living going out on the road. And we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the difficulties that you guys have faced and what you guys had to deal with this past year, being Billboard chart topping, artists, and not being able to go and see your fans, not being able to go on tour, not being able to go on the road. And what has that been like for you, and where have you guys found some solace? Let's start with Rod Saylor. Rod.
So a lot of learning, I've dove into a lot of online streaming, trying to figure out the best, cheapest, easiest way to do it, but still let it work for us. trying to do it in a safe environment to where, we can do it from multiple locations. That's been the key. And then just doing as much research as possible for recording and trying to figure out, different ways to think outside the box for what we need to do.
Good answer.
Awesome. And let's go now to Goldie. Goldie, what have you really been doing this past year that you haven't really been able to go on the road, haven't been able to perform, haven't been able to see your fans? How have you been managing that from a musician standpoint?
We've been doing stuff that we should have been doing years ago. I'm sorry that it took the pandemic or the corona to figure out what people have been saying to do Patreon for years. Mo, that's such a cool way to connect with people and to have exclusive content. You're always talking about Clubhouse. You're always popping hard over that, Clubhouse. Well, we kind of have our own Clubhouse, and it's just really nice to get to know people on an intimate level. We get to know people on the road, which a lot of them are our patrons, but I wish we would have done that earlier. I wish we would have known about streaming earlier. And it's interesting when you're just when it hits the fan, how you learn, whether you like it or not, a skill set that will continue on even when we start touring more and more again. We've been doing some shows, but the other thing is managing is just depression, for people. You can make it all starry-eyed and rainbows coming out your whatever, but there is a lot of depression that goes in with people that create for a living and that are used to, being gone or being used to our kids going to school. Everybody's used to this thing, and then it all kind of changed. So I would say just trying to manage change and wondering when we can go back out again. Great question. Thanks.
Awesome. And Jay Nolan in the virtual auditorium said awesome video.
Thank you,
Pankaj
Jay.
Dayal says good evening. I don't think, Natalie, have we ever seen this name before in the virtual auditorium? I think it's a new. We'd like to welcome you to our community. Serge, what is it that you have been facing as somebody that is a musician and has been a musician for many years and not being able to go on the road, not being able to see your fans? What have you been going through?
Well, I feel like the funny thing is I've actually been busier than I've ever been in my life now, even more than when I lived in LA, doing sound for concerts like 6 nights a week. But now I feel like it's made us all adapt into doing online stuff and forming other ways of doing entertainment, like podcasting. It's like now everyone and their brother has a podcast, but doing that, doing the Patreon, figuring out alternative ways to make money from still playing, like streaming the shows and stuff. But I think inevitably we all want to just get back to, playing live and actually seeing people face to face, which we have, here and there, but it's not the same as like literally doing shows like 4 days a week, how it used to be.
Interesting. And so Goldie, what does the future look like for the Goldilocks band from your perspective? What is it that you would love to be able to see happen? I know you guys are known for doing so many different genres, and you guys do a lot of things to bring awareness to some serious issues. That's what makes you guys so unique, is it's not just about entertainment. Yes, you guys are great entertainers, but you guys also inspire. You guys also uplift. You guys also bring hope. And I remember when you guys performed at our last event live, you guys did a cover of or a version of a song that you actually wrote to bring awareness to suicide. So let's talk a little bit before we get into the future of the Goldilocks band. Let's talk about All To You. What was your motivation to write All To You, and what is that song about?
All To You, we're not a Christian band. We're definitely secular. God, just look at these two. No, I'm just kidding. Not a Christian band at all. But you know what? I think it's cool if you're not necessarily a Christian band to sing a song with a message. And it's a Mo, you're so spiritual, and Natalie, Dr. Forrest, and it's got a spiritual message attached to it. And
well, maybe clarify what you mean by that, though. Like, not a Christian bands, but there's Christians in the band.
Oh,
all our songs aren't Christian songs, basically.
My bad. Yes, we are all. I believe we are all Christian. Yes, thank you for clarifying that, Serge. So, it never started. We already shot the video for it, which people don't know. We spent a ton of money shooting this, like, real typical kind of video for it, and then I was just in a really bad working relationship. Like it was just really toxic and horrible. And I just remember thinking, like, you know, we heard from, was it Robbie and who was on the last? Jay, wasn't Jay? Who was on the last panel? Was it Jay? And
We had Robbie, we had Jay,
and then what was the woman's name again? That
Desiree Lee.
Yeah, I mean, they're just calling it out. Like, and I just remember sitting at the end of my bed, like in a fetal position. Like I wasn't going to do anything, but I remember thinking to myself, I just want to die. Like, I can't believe that I'm not in an intimate relationship with somebody. But once again, I find myself at my age in an abusive relationship. And I was just like, I really feel like dying and just going away, not being. And then I thought, you know what? And I called up our shooter and producer, and I just said, let's change the whole video. Let's scrap everything that we did and make this whole video with like everybody committing suicide, everybody killing themselves, and like show people, because you don't ever see like who's left behind, maybe in a movie or two, but a lot of music videos I've never seen really show like what's it left. If you do take your life, like how do your kids feel? How do your friends feel? How do your brother or your sister, like, and that's what we tried to portray with that video, All to You. If you look it up and leave a comment and say, we heard about it on the Los Angeles Tribune, because like the Los Angeles Tribune that is bringing you all of this free value today, all of these great speakers. Tina said something like the whole weekend of the forum has been like a Harvard, education. I mean, we try to do things with a message, and I'm just so grateful that I have two other bandmates that are so cool about going along with stuff, when in the past we've had just some interesting characters that wouldn't do anything, they just want to be drunk all the time. So we got some really good ones that actually care, want to give back, and do things that push the envelope a little bit. As you watch the end of All to You, and Rod is the one that, writes this hashtag, just stay. He came up with that himself. And, maybe that's something that simple as what somebody needs right now. We did this way before the pandemic. Took us 9 months of shooting, Dr. Forrest. Maybe that's what somebody needs in all the comments that people write on there. Maybe that's what they need to stick around, but we want you to.
So we're going to go ahead and listen to the acoustic version that you guys did of All to You, because the video is incredible. But even the song itself, if you listen, folks, listen to the words, listen to the message, and then listen to Goldie as a songwriter. So let's go ahead and check that out. We'll be right back.
Left is just old wood, arms that were wide open, tall and strong and good, but you took it all away, you ate the fruit and cut the branches and didn't have to pay a sacrifice worth giving. Even you, gave it to you, all to you. One more time. Gave it to you, gave it to, all to you, gave it all to you, gave it all to you. Nice job, you guys. Thanks, everybody. That was great.
Wow. I mean, guys, when you talk about what it means to be an artist, it's touching people. I mean, I'm reading how people are so emotional in the comments. I'm looking at some of the people in the green room who are all touched, moved, and inspired. And this is what it means to be an artist. This is what it means to be a songwriter. This is what it means to perform. And you know what? I love hard rock, but guys, if you guys make more songs like that, like acoustic, I'm telling you, there's a whole huge I mean, there's a huge fan base out there that don't know that they're Goldilocks band. So I'm going to encourage you guys to don't neglect the soft stuff, because that's a hard rock song, but we just listened to the acoustic version. And I personally like both versions, but because of my taste, I'm going to listen to the acoustic version if I want to hear that, right? And I know there's a lot of people out there that are in the same boat. So make some soft stuff. You guys don't have to.
Most so romantic.
You guys don't need to, always
I like it.
Step into mosh pits. But with that being said, I want to thank the Goldilocks band, and I know that this is a kind of a crazy segue to do, but Serge, Rod, and myself, we're going to step back, let Natalie and Goldie continue with a panel that is all about being a female entrepreneur. So let's go ahead and roll them in, and Natalie, you can take it from here. Thank you, Rod and Serge.
And you guys, as they exit, before we talk to these beautiful women, I just want to say, in keeping with the theme of collaborating, because I've collaborated with all of you women on the screen, we wouldn't even have heard that song if it wouldn't have been for the two bandmates that you just saw, because we collaborate together, and there was hours and days that took us to get the sound to sound that good, and that was all because of Rod and Serge. So it's all about collaborating, and look at these gorgeous people that I love popping up on the screen. Yay!
Hi, ladies. I missed you.
So good to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited, and I know Goldie is too. And it's kind of hard after that amazing song that I know gets all of us every single time we hear it, and that's the power of a song. And so we're trying to segue now into what does it mean to be a female entrepreneur. And I'm going to take something that Goldie just said, because Goldie, you just said, they're Rod and they're Serge. Mm-hmm. They're not females, right? So just pointing out the obvious. However, we can't do it alone either, right? I want to point that out to start with, because being a female entrepreneur and talking about being a female entrepreneur doesn't mean that we hate guys. I just want to put that right out there, because it's not about excluding guys. It's about us supporting ourselves and then getting all the help we can get. And I want to throw it over, first of all, to Gina. Sorry, ladies, but I want to throw it to Gina, because Gina just did something amazing. She just took what I would consider a quantum leap. So why don't you tell us a little bit about leaping forward and standing in your power, which is what you have done, especially this past year. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, thank you. So 2020 was actually a phenomenal year for me in a lot of ways. And one of those ways was very early in the year, before, things sort of took a turn. I decided I was done being ruled by fear. Mm-hmm. And I had all these wonderful ideas and the resources around me to get them done, but I was also full of excuses. And the excuses were driven by fear. And so I decided, do I want fear to be making my decisions for me, or do I want to make my decisions for me? Do I want my power to make my decisions for me? And so I decided, enough of letting fear take the reign. I'm going to try it this other way. And in 2020, I published my first book, and it went bestseller over the summer. The one that makes me yawn. Thank you. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble online. But also, I invented a product.
Yes.
And it was an idea that came to me in meditation. And when you get ideas that way, boy, you better listen. And so I was making all the excuses, of course, why I couldn't, and it was overwhelming. And then finally said, no more fear, bye, out, and realized I'm surrounded by all the resources I need, including some wonderful men who can help me put this thing together. And so just on Friday, I filed the provisional patent, and so we are officially patent pending. And I hooked up with a great trademark lawyer, so I can't tell you the name yet because it's not trademarked yet. We also finalized the logo on Friday, so huge week. And yesterday we adopted a puppy, so
Yeah, I know.
it's been a huge weekend.
And what you're saying, you just went through this so quickly. But for those of us who were also on Saturday, right? Dr. Joe Vitale, whom of course we honored for his lifetime achievement, he kept talking, and I know Goldie and we talked with Dr. Joe about this. He kept talking about receiving, right? How important it is to receive and not dismiss. And that's exactly what you're saying right now, Gina. You're saying, I received this thing in meditation. I was like, whoa,
Exactly.
but you went with it. That is so important. Yeah. Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
what about you ladies, Lene and Michelle? What is up with you these days? What are you working on? And what are your quantum leaps? I know you both had a bunch of them as well already.
Who would like to go first? Lene? I'll go first. So for me, wow, one of my I'm just so thankful and grateful to be part of the Los Angeles Tribune. I mean, it's really amazing to be with some amazing women and men. And, at the end of the year, I was really looking at, what is my purpose? I've always been driven by vision, but I really wanted to deeper into purpose and, talk about quantum leap. And this idea was like probably 4 or 5 years ago. My heart was always saying I wanted to work with women, but I've always seemed to work with men. So I am so really grateful for my new column, Mom Conversations, and some of the things I'm going to be doing, creating mompreneurs, communities, and just being able to be myself and really to be able to express myself as a mompreneur. I kind of kept them separate. I had entrepreneur here, mom here, but I'm bringing them together because, I want to be whole again. So that's what I'm really excited about. And I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm working on a lot of projects, but that is really going to be my passion project.
Yeah, and it's so exciting, right? The mompreneur thing, because there are so many of us out there. So the column that you're writing and the stories that you're telling, most of us have been through that. And, you don't have to be a physical mom, but usually women, I'm going to go with a stereotype, we're a little more nurturing. Right. So, whether it's a band member, whether it's a friend, whether we're usually the ones taking care of others. Yeah, and there are some guys out there too. Lene, you've done a whole bunch of stuff too. What are your quantum leaps or your leaps thus far?
I am just so happy to leap on this stage with all of you beautiful women. I mean, just really the energy, the shifts, everything that's happened from Goldie's beautiful song, just really feeling emotional movement. I would like to piggyback off of what Michelle and Natalie said. All of us on this stage right now take care of someone. As Natalie mentioned, whether a physical mom, whether we're birthing our baby, our business, all of us take care of someone. This year has really been a shift for me, health-wise, personally, as well as with school. I've gone through a lot of school and am completing my doctorate, and also am growing my business. And what Gina said earlier really resonated with me regarding just moving in authenticity and really, really moving past fear. That is just really, really important. I think in order to move through energy of positivity and abundance mindset, and I've heard David Meltzer, Sharon Lecter, as Natalie was just saying earlier, Dr. Joe Vitale, talk about listening to that inner voice. What's been really important for me this past year, maybe 2 years, is really listening into what resonates with me. Whether it's understood or not, it is something that comes from above, a download, if you will. And it's really important to courageously move forward and listen to that inner voice and move, because doing so allows others to have the courage to move as well. And I'm just so excited. I've launched a podcast, also my column in the Los Angeles Tribune, I'm so grateful for, It's called optimal performance. And my gift really is to help others perform optimally, whether it's through somatic therapy or hypnosis or even mind-body medicine and other movement modalities. Just so excited. The best really is yet to come for all of us.
I would like to piggyback off of Renee. Thank you. And go back to Gina. One thing that, not to correct you, Dr. Forrest, but he did say specifically, Dr. Vitale, follow the mystery. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a big difference between fear and mystery. Mystery is a little sexier. Gina knows all about being sexy. So is Michelle. Girl, those lashes are looking fierce.
Thank you.
So he said that he had thoughts of visiting somebody's grave, and the writing came through him. So don't confuse fear with mystery or the unknown, because like I said, that can be something really, really cool. We all like a good mystery, a good Nancy Drew, Veronica Mars. And a lot of times, well, at the end of fear could be something beautiful. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of times, most of the time, at the end of mystery is something that's waiting for you to find it. So, the next time something might feel a little weird inside, or you get a weird vibe, investigate it. Go check it out, because it might be a new contact or new business idea, a new book idea, a new patented product like Gina inspiredly had, during meditation. So I'm so excited, Gina, when you can come back and talk about that. Lene, so excited with everything that you've been completing. And is it Michelle, or do we say Michelle? How do you say your name?
Michelle. It is definitely Michelle.
Michelle. I've heard different
A
things.
in there because Michelle Wilson is just so common. So I always
I got you. So Michelle, we've watched you with your first article in your column, and you're growing, and you're so good about asking questions. And again, it's all the theme has been about collaborating, and people, and all of you, like Gina's helped clean up my sloppy work in the article. Thank God somebody showed me the ways. Lene has just been there with the kindest words, and like a sincere woman, not like some fake. You know what I'm saying? You're not fakey fake. Natalie, the same thing. You always have great things to say, and same with you, Michelle. Like, it's just an honor to be on here with all of you, and that's legit. Like, I'm not blowing smoke where the sun don't shine. I'm being serious.
We know you don't blow smoke, Goldie.
No.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about your product. Sorry.
So actually, there's something I wanted to go back to, if I could. Goldie, you mentioned mystery, and another word that I use a lot is curiosity. I wonder. Okay, this is scary, but I wonder if fill in the blank. I'm so overwhelmed. I have this product idea. I have no idea how to do it. I might fail. It's scary, but I wonder if I could find somebody who's invented something before and taken it to market. I wonder if I have anybody around me that can help with packaging. And even, oh no, I don't like that thing, but I wonder if I tried it, maybe I might change my mind. So curiosity, I wonder, is really powerful.
Very, very good point, Dr. Forrest.
No, absolutely. I could not agree more, Gina. And I think we're all talking about each other, which I always find very, very interesting, right? We're like, oh, you're so great, you're so great, you're so good, and I admire you. But it is in the collaboration, as of course, Goldie just mentioned. I want to go back to something that Lene sort of threw in. Lene sort of threw in, just do what you do, and maybe others do what they should do as well, which of course is about leadership, right? It's about leadership. We forge our own path, as Robert Frost often talked about, but it's about forging our own path, not because we want to lead others, but by doing that, we're offering an inspiration. How seriously do you take the fact that you are all leaders? Every single one of you on this panel is a leader in one way or another. What does that mean to you, being looked upon as a leader, especially as a female leader?
Well, for me, leadership is I lead myself first. And as a mom, I'm leading my kids all the time. So I had to be an example. I believe that my kids do because they follow me because I'm an example to them. I don't just tell them what to do. I show them what to do. and it's all about helping people grow. I want my children to grow. So like you said, I'm that nurturer. So when people are around me as leadership, I want to help them grow. So it's just that ability that I've got to be the leader first. And then through my leadership, people will want to grow and be around me.
I think it's so important, especially in an environment where people are holding on to stuff, so much stuff. I have to say, going back to Gina quickly, I had a session with her. She's a beautiful, gifted healer, and just enjoyed having her on my podcast last year. And there's all of this stuff, the conditioning. In the last panel, everyone was talking about the programming and the brain mapping. I think it's important also to help future generations clean out a lot of the conditioning that maybe we grew up with, our generation, so that they can go even farther. So being a leader isn't just, I think, encouraging people. It's about also helping people see that they can go even farther and do even more and just be their best self, no matter what that means.
Absolutely. I found myself in a leadership position at a very young age, fresh out of college, running a program for blind and visually impaired youth at a multi-million-dollar nonprofit in Los Angeles. And I didn't know one thing from another. And so I learned leadership through the corporate structure and through internal politics and who you can say what to and not who and how, and couching things and subverting things. And it was very political and messy and not good. And I found it did not feel right to me. It didn't suit me, but I didn't know how to change it. And so eventually I moved on from there and became an entrepreneur and leader in my own little company of one, and then had children and realized that I had the opportunity to lead my own company, Kegel Inc., whatever we want to call it, our little family here, and found that the best way to do that was to go inside and figure out what's right for me, what I'm comfortable with, what I'm not comfortable with, what feels good and whole, and then model that and just be that, and not give room for anything else as much as possible. So not that I've been the perfect parent, but being a leader first in my home has been a powerful teacher in how to take that beyond these walls. And now my boys are inventing things and writing their own books and having their big ideas and feeling like it's possible for them also to step out and make their dreams come true as well.
Wow. Michelle?
Wow, that was amazing.
Different. Everybody's is different. Mine's going to be totally different than Michelle's.
As I mentioned, I was a young mom. I was a mom at 17. And so I had to kind of grow up quickly. Actually, I was growing up, and my youngest son, who's like 39 now, I've had children throughout my life, like 17. And then I had my youngest is at 36. So it's like I was really young and I was mature. So through that experience, I know that for me, my mindset, and it's the spiritual mindset. And then now I'm realizing I have to go deeper. It's emotional. So it's all those things. And so it's really, as I said earlier, it's about leading myself first and really recognizing potential in other people. And I always say that I want to look at people's, potential, not so much their behavior, especially when you're raising kids. But I really believe moms are amazing because everything that we do in the home, we can do outside of the home, especially in our business. I think it takes the same skills, taking those skills of really being resourceful and really being able to persevere among the struggles, those everyday lives, everyday lives of just raising a family. It's kind of like you take it to your business. I like what Lene said, your business is your baby, right? You have these growing pains from birth and you're going through the same process. And I know that, not everyone physically has been a mother, but, we all are caring for people, especially when we're in leadership. We're caring for our employees. Like Goldie, your band, we're all caring for someone. And for me, I'm caring for my son for the last 10 years. He's a special needs. So that was even an extra layer of learning how to, take care of his needs and still go after my dreams. And I won't say it's easy, but it's through just that growing. I say I'm a learning. I always want to grow and learn. So that's what's really helped me in my leadership skills, because I'm always open. I say a lifetime learner. I'm always learning. So I'm not perfect, but I'm always learning.
Let's see. I got to jump in here, and Mo is probably laughing in the back because he probably knows what I'm going to say. I believe we're all perfect. And I don't like hearing people say, I'm not perfect. It's like, no, you are. I honestly believe, and this is not hoopla or whatever. I believe we're all perfect, and we're perfect at every moment in our lives. It doesn't mean that we're not evolving, right? But we're perfectly where we need to be at every point in our lives. Sometimes we don't want to. But I believe we are born perfect. You know, whoever, whatever created us, I don't think makes mistakes. So we got to be perfect. And when we embrace that, I think it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm sorry to interrupt and jump into what you were going to say, Goldie, but I just need to get that out. You know, it's like
such
one
a
of my
good
little pet
reminder.
projects.
We need people like you to balance things out, like the cynical pessimist introvert that I am. You know, like my story's so different than all of you. Like I never wanted to be a leader. I didn't want that role. And talk about a mess, Gina. Like I grew up in the hood, you know, where everything was a mess. It was slop. And I just was like, everybody was dying or overdosing or hurting themselves. And I just saw like leadership to me means being responsibility. And I just would rather be by myself and eat my treats and, you know, do my thing and write a song and sit in the corner in the dark. Like that's really how I'm chill. Like I'm not an extrovert. I act like I am, but I'm not. And I just saw the need for, well, I'm not going to do all this stuff and I want to get out of here and I don't want to die and I want to do better so that I can make some money and help my family out. And then other people followed, but I never started out. I'm not a parent. What a parent I'd make, you know, like God run for the hills. I never wanted that. But when it does happen to you, or you see people looking to you, especially as a musician or a content creator, like I can't put stuff out that's bad news. It's got to have some sort of positive message attached within it, or happy ending, so to speak, or I can't do it ethically, because you don't know what you put out there, whether it's your example, Michelle, or Lene, with what you do with your holistic, or Gina, you don't know what you put out there that somebody just might see that funk that day and it might be what pushes them over the edge. You know, it's just, I can't be responsible for that. I have to be responsible for creating something that I hope brings some joy or makes somebody think, but doesn't say today is the day I'm going to pull the plug. You know, responsibility is what leadership means to me.
Right.
See, yeah, I think this is so important because I think there's this myth out there that everybody who's a leader actually wants to be a leader. And I think I'm going to just look at the five of us and I'm going to assume that most of us probably were not born saying, yes, me, I want to be a leader. Because I resonate with you, Goldie. I'm an ambivert. I didn't want to be a leader. But it's sort of like what Gina said, right? You walk into a room and you don't mean anything, but all of a sudden people look at you and you're like, what's going on? And they just pick you as a leader. I don't think leadership is necessarily a choice. I think, personally, I think the best leaders are those who don't want to be leaders. Because if you want to be a leader, very often it means you're out there and you're just in it for yourself. But everybody we had on this 2-day event, most of them said, I was just driven. Somebody helped me, so I wanted to give back. And those are the leaders. That's why we have you ladies here, right? Because you didn't scream, yes, I want to lead. I want to be in the limelight. You said, there's something to do. I need to do it. And you just lived it. So are you, Goldie just said she's more of an introvert. So am I. Really. What about you ladies? Are you more introvert, ambivert, extrovert? What's going on?
I'm definitely an extroverted introvert. So I am extroverted when I have to be, but it takes me at least a week to recharge my batteries. And really being an introvert is my comfort zone, for sure.
Yeah.
Gina?
Yeah.
I would say I'm an extrovert that loves alone time.
Nice.
I don't know what I love to be alone, but I love to meet people. I chat people up in the grocery store or whatever. Natalie, I wanted to go back really quickly. Sorry to jump subjects a little bit. I actually grew up wanting to be a leader. In any group I was in, I wanted to be in leadership. Mostly because I had good ideas and I wanted to be helpful and I wanted to, you know, be there for people, make things better. I feel like it's really strong to take part in building the community that you want to live in. And so I end up leading things. And then as I developed as a person spiritually and personally, I found that I love to lead by lifting up other leaders. I don't need to be in the top dog position. I love to look for people who would be glorious in that position and then help them, encourage them, and do what I can to help them shine. And that's what brings me the most satisfaction now.
Yeah.
That's great.
And yeah. And you know, it's I forget who said it earlier, but it's when I talk about leadership, it's the same idea. It's leading from the back. I always think, you know, when I think about all of you here as well, it's more of the idea of either the wolf pack that I love to talk about or the conductor, right? The conductor has his or her back to the audience, right? They can't see their face. That's really important because that means you, like what you said, Gina, it's like empowering others. And yes, you might be up front, you might be in the back, you might be the biggest cheerleader in the back. But that's how you lead. And that's what you're describing, Gina, is absolutely spot on. It's I wanted to lead, and then you went into I wanted to create a good community, right? And you were like trying to hurt, I always say hurting cats, but that's important. So what are some of the things, especially for the ladies in the virtual auditorium? What are some of the tips, some of the hardships that you may have faced as a woman in business? Because it is different when you walk into a boardroom and, speaking from experience, and everybody looks at you and wants you to pour the coffee. Even though you're the CEO of 4 companies, right? But it happens. It still happens in 2021. We have to be real about this, okay? Or they look at you and wonder why you're taking the seat at the front of the table. So what is that experience like? What were your hardships? And what is your advice to any of the ladies, particularly in the virtual auditorium? Who wants to go first? Come on.
I'll go first. I can relate to what Gina said earlier regarding the cutthroat corporate environment. I spent 15 years in corporate America as well. And I have to say, some of the lessons that I learned, unfortunately, were as a result of learning not what to do as a leader. And I definitely think that occasionally women, we are labeled if we are strong and staunch negotiators. It's important, I think, to own our power, even when it may not be accepted or enjoyed. And being an introvert has actually been a plus or a positive because usually people don't expect that. And I've had experiences of being called the iron glove or the iron fist. And people think that niceness may necessarily be a weakness, and it isn't. You can have a quiet strength and be a strong leader and negotiate. And sometimes listening is the best negotiation tool that I found. And so that, I think, notion of perpetuating strong women being hard-nosed or negative labels, I think, is something that has definitely been something that I've experienced and had to work around.
I too. Sometimes, you know, it's like I not your secretary, just because I can do it. You know, like you said, you come to the boardroom and not to be seen as an equal, but I have a mind, and just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm not following or intelligent. But sometimes just those roles of that I'm your secretary. I've had that experience when I'm not your secretary. I love helping, and I want to be supportive, but I'm not your secretary either. So it is that balance of trying, being, as Lene say, you don't want to be. I don't say don't want to be strong. If they see you strong, then you're a B, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're, me, I have a quiet, position and so forth. So they think I'm weak. It's just going into the boardroom. It can be challenging sometimes, but at the same time, I know who I am when I'm in there. So I'm not, a fear. Actually, I'm like Gina said, I'm very curious. I want to learn, so when I go to the boardroom, I just open my ears and listen. I learn from men every day. So that's the great thing. And how can I take that? But now I want to bring my femininity more into the boardroom, because before I feel like I have to kind of hold back who I am as a woman, because I don't want them to think I'm flirting or, just all those little things. So it is a different dynamic when you're in the boardroom with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was raised into a leadership position right away, genuinely young and looking much younger than I was. I was in my early 20s and I could pass as a 12 or 13-year-old at the time. Parents of my students, some of whom were my same age, would look at me and think I was the summer intern or something. But as a short person who looks young, I have found that I enjoy it when people underestimate me and think I'm not a force to be reckoned with, because inside I know I am. And sooner or later, they might have to find that out. And I know that I have that in me to handle if it needs to come to that. I rarely do, thank goodness, especially now that I'm an entrepreneur and I am my company. But I found a little bit of enjoyment in that and knowing that I have that power and potential when I need to call on it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, Gina. And different than you, but one thing that's the same is like I've always known. I started working when I was 3, and I've been in the world of pro wrestling and sports, and I've always known who I am. And as much as people try to get me to comment on speaking out or this or that, like, yes, I've had some creepers in my life, but honestly, for the most part, I have enjoyed working with men, and I've never had anybody treat me that much differently. Again, a few creepers, but not in business. Like I've always been paid about the same, or so I find out, or been valued. But I think it's like that little dog syndrome, Gina, where you're just like, you think you can tear somebody apart, and that people can smell that. And I've always had a lot of respect from guys, and I absolutely love and adore them. And the thing that breaks my heart the most in business, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, it's the women. It's the women every time that I put my trust in and I am vulnerable with and I befriend. And then not every, and I'll tell you why. My point is many times I'm going home with a knife, pulling it out of either not even my back. They'll just walk up and throw a dagger at you. And I'm like, what just happened? Why are you doing this? Why are you ghosting me? And it hurts me. And even this weekend, I spent last night sobbing because somebody just from out of nowhere, and I'm like, we're good friends. Like, what are you going through? Somebody else was in prison. That's why they weren't talking to me. But this person isn't in prison, and I don't know why they would ghost me like this. So rather than dwell on that, rather than pour me, because I was really down, I get excited when I see people like you, all 4 of you showing up on the panel. We've got, I'm going to say her name right for the love of God, Michelle. She's in here too. So kind on social media. I don't ask her to go on LinkedIn and like my stuff. Who's got the time? But she does. So when I see that, I light up inside like a light bulb. Concentrate on the people who pick you. Concentrate on the people who are showing you love and affection, and to hell with the other people who aren't, because those chicks, Zachas, will come and go. But in business, those have been the ones, sadly. So I'm always rallying for other women. And I, no matter how jaded I should be, will always give a female the benefit of the doubt. But so help me God, when you cross me, you're dead to me. Like, I don't give second chances to that, because I pour my heart out to women and I want to help them. And I never get jealous or envious. I just get, Michelle, how many times have we talked about freaking eyelashes? Or Lene, like, I want to help you with your graphics. Like, I don't want anything for it. I just want to see you shine. So when I give of my heart to you and then you trample on that, that's where my sorrow comes in. But I don't let that get me down. I go for rejoicing in the women and the women that are, you have them for life. Like, they're lifers. And I love that. They're the same people that I had in grade school or high school or college are the same girlfriends that I have now. Minnesota, hardcore hunting, fishing girls. And I celebrate them. And I love all of you too. You've all been so good to me, and I thank you from that. That's a sincere, I love you. I thank you. That's not BS. It's sincere.
Absolutely. And Goldie, you said something so crucial that I don't know about Michelle, Gina, and Lene, but that I can speak to as well because of experience. And that is, as crazy as it sounds, I've had more problems with women than with men. Men, I don't know why. even if they get intimidated, because some men do get intimidated by strong women, right? But in general, I've had more men support what I do than women. I've had, especially in the area that I live in right now, it's like backstabbing is just, I don't know, sport number one amongst women. And it always reminds me of the imagery that, based on my historical background, the crab mentality. It's like, just because you're down, why would you pull others down? Why not make a ladder and I would, any one of you, I'd have you climb over my back to get you up, right? But others are pulling down. And it's always amazing to me that I have personally seen that more women versus women. And it seems to me that that might be that education of lack versus abundance. There's not enough space for strong women. Therefore, we need to fight, which is completely silly if you believe in abundance. But what about the other three ladies? Because Goldie and I, obviously, we can go down this road about being backstabbed by women. But Michelle, Gina, Lene, what are your experiences? And I'm not saying that all women are bad. I'm not saying that all men are great. Okay.
No, and I think when I became very conscious of mindset and surrounding myself around people that are like-minded and heart-minded, then I had those type of women around me. Yes, in my younger years, I did have that, but I find now that the women that I have that are surrounded by me love me and I love them and we respect each other. But it was conscious and intentional building those relationships with those women. I do find in business, though, that I'm still very, kind of by myself a little bit, especially because of the type of business that I love doing. I love strategic business. And I still find myself, working with a lot of men, but I really just feel like there's so many women that are so powerful, so beautiful. And when I say beautiful, it's not just how they look, it's their beauty inside. It's their beauty inside that makes them look beautiful outside. And so I've just been really blessed and I want to say the last 10 years that I've had some amazing relationship with women. And so I'm just really thankful and grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for all the women here. You welcomed me in when I was the newbie. And I just want to thank each and every one of you on the panel, because I definitely felt very, just as Goldie said, you'll like something, or Lene, thank you for always reaching out to me. I just love Gina's smile. So it's really amazing to be around women who want the best for each other, and that's why I'm so excited about being on this, I want to say, project, or just being on this platform with some amazing women.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, I can relate to that, especially what Goldie mentioned, being in an environment, an industry early on in life. Growing up in the professional dance and cheer world, that was a breeding ground for women to be competitive. There were only certain spots in auditions, and someone may trip you, or you may not get help with the combination before you perform an audition. And that was just the environment. But the reality is, as the wonderful Debbie Allen once told me, you just take everything where you go. Everything that you do, you contribute to that. And then make sure that you don't make those same mistakes. And so what it did was really make me want to help perpetuate the community. For instance, when I've judged auditions, it's important for me to make sure that all of the girls are being congenial and collegial together. If I see someone who's being a mean girl, and that's definitely something I count towards. They could be the best dancer in the world. But if they are not a good human and kind to their quote unquote competitors, because ultimately it's not a competitor. There really is space for everyone where they're supposed to be. But unfortunately, I too have experienced that with women early on. But as Michelle said, now I make an intentional and conscious effort to surround myself with strong, beautiful, amazing women, and knowing that there's abundance for us all. And I'm so glad, for you all.
Lene, I get that. And I think last night when somebody's falling by the wayside, I look at that as that God's got somebody else in line that I needed to carve out that time Like there was a lady that, God, she was amazing. She was the restroom attendant at one of the venues that we used to play at. Girl, you know who I'm talking about. And I remember I was sitting on the john, like in between sets, like crying my eyes out because she was like, girl, that's just God kicking him to the curb. So you got time for the new. She was so awesome, like so on point. And that doesn't have to necessarily apply to just your partner relationship, but women. And I look forward to more and more ladies and females coming into my life that'll stick around and not be so doggone mean. But those girls, when they were being cruel or intentionally tripping or whatnot, it's that lack mentality, because if you don't get picked for that pageant or that dance competition or that trophy, then there's something else for you. You need to understand that fall is going to be a win in some other shape or form. And when you truly just start to either trick yourself to believe that, or you really do believe that, it happens. And it's really fun when you see what the universe, God, your angels, your higher power has for you. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I see. And I now, no matter how horrible something happens, as bad as I felt last night, I'm like, you know what? There is a new lady, a new friend that's coming my way. You got to look at it. You have to look at it like that. And then it becomes curious or magical or mystery. And I look for that. I really do. And I'm sorry that happened to you, Lene. I would have, don't, violence isn't the answer, but it sure made for a great career in professional wrestling.
If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, right? No mistakes, just lessons.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good. Sally.
Well, I want to ask Gina a question about this, because I love, and I'm not going to say it because I was just told earlier that I'm like, I don't know, the principal or something like that. So I cannot use that language, but that's a side joke. But Gina, what is your website called?
My website is easy to remember. It's called releasethatshit.com.
Exactly. And the reason why I'm asking is because that's what we're talking about, right? Goldie, you just exemplify in what you said, getting rid of that stuff. Lene, you said the same thing, perspective. Michelle said the same thing. It's all about perspective, right? So getting that stuff out. At my house, we always say stuff. Just, so that we all know what that is. Get that stuff out. Okay. So how do we get that stuff out of our heads so that we can just move on and be strong and look for the next beautiful friend, the next beautiful opportunity? How do we do that? Gina, why don't you take the lead on that, since you've got that stuff going on?
Yeah, so I work with clients every day, all week long, in getting that stuff out of there that is holding them back from being their true, genuine, authentic best selves. And a lot of the time, as the healing takes place and the stuff goes away, some people tend to go away too, because they were resonating with that stuff. And is that what we want? Do we want to draw in people because they have the same kind of nonsense going on that we've had built up? So it's very normal and natural as one develops and progresses, personally, spiritually, however you progress, for old relationships to fall away because they just don't fit anymore. And that's okay. And as Goldie has said, that's just clearing room for more, something better. So the first step in that is to go within. You can't look for the new best friend or the new boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever if you have not yet done the internal work, because you're just going to keep getting more of the same. So whether that's energy healing or counseling or journaling or whatever it is for you, get on that, clear that stuff out, and make room for stuff.
Wow. This has been such a honor and a treat to listen to. And the only thing I can say is that I'm humbled that such a group of lionesses are collaborators with us and a part of our team. I mean, this is so humbling for myself and all of us that are working behind the scenes. So I want to thank this incredible group of folks. You guys know how much I love and respect all of you. And Gina, Michelle, Lene, Goldie, Natalie, you guys did such a great job. And we're ready to actually go to our next panel. And I want to thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And, Natalie, the next panel is very unique because it's going to be delving into what it means to be a leader from not just a sales perspective, but also from a marketing perspective and, a life perspective, because NLP is really about everything. And we're going to have two experts of NLP that are going to be joining us to talk. And of course, I'm talking about Dr. Bill Janishek and Joe Ingram. And we're going to have this panel co-hosted with a surprise guest co-host. And of course, that's Michelle Farrell. Many of you guys remember her from her multiple moments and memories on Monday Night Live. And before we do get into that, though, Natalie, I know that we have a special message that we do want to hear from Lisa Nichols, who sent this to us moments ago for us to air. And we're going to go there until we come back. And of course, yesterday, many of you heard my hour-long conversation with Joe Vitale. And a couple hours ago, you guys heard my conversation with Kevin Harrington. And this was actually sent to us, but it was recorded very recently. And we're going to go ahead and play it and come back, because what we decided to do, Dr. Natalie Forrest, is the team at the LA Tribune has awarded Lisa Nichols with a Lifetime Achievement Award for the work that she's done, especially somebody that grew up in Los Angeles. And so we want to play this, and we'll return in a few minutes with our next panel.
Hi, Lisa Nichols here. And I wanted to thank the Los Angeles Tribune for the Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm grateful. During my career of over 21 years, all I've ever wanted to do was to help transform, help impact, up-level, elevate the lives of those around me. When I started my career over 20 years ago, I never knew that I'd be here. I was a woman from Los Angeles, wanting to change my life and my son's life. And when I found that education, motivation, inspiration, and action led to transformation, and when I began to have my own transformation, all I wanted to do was to help as many people as possible to have the same experience or their own experience similar. I know that 2020 was a year of uncertainty, unexpected and unwanted change. 2020 was a year of unacceptable, made polarized. 2020 was a year of release, relinquish, reset, recharge. 2020 was a year that we all navigated through, but we made it to 2021. We made it to 2021 still with hope, with dreams, with belief, in spite of global and national upheaval. We've pushed through it and we are here today. I'm honored by this award because it's an award that's acknowledging resiliency as well as commitment. And each and every one of us have that. I'm grateful that I can inspire someone else to keep getting up. I say oftentimes, I didn't avoid being knocked down. I simply was always committed to getting back up. And as I kept getting back up, I continued to have more faith in my ability to get up. And then I was able to strategize on how to avoid so many knockdowns. So I want to thank you again. I want to thank the LA Tribune for seeing in me something that adds value. I want to thank the Quantum Leap Forum for seeing in me something that adds value to the lives of those around me. I am who I am because of the energy that lives and the vibration that flows through Los Angeles. I am and will always be an LA girl, no matter where I live, where I am, or where I serve in the world. So it's an honor to be able to do good work besides good people like you. I cannot wait until I can turn a virtual hug into a physical hug. I'm your sister in prosperity and in possibility. And from my heart to yours, I say thank you. I believe in you and I love you. Be well.
Awesome. And thank you, Lisa. And Natalie, we have so many exciting things in the works with Lisa and all of the friends that you saw on that poster that many people are going to be surprised to find out that will be announced very shortly. And with that, this is a great segue to get into this conversation with Dr. Bill and Joe Ingram. And let's go ahead and roll in. And of course, we're going to bring a special host to this panel, Michelle Farrell. Welcome. And let's just do a deep dive, folks. Natalie, I know that when it comes to Joe and Bill, there's a lot of magic that can happen, and we systematically put the two of them together for a reason, because when it's like a recipe, and so we know that the two of them together, it's going to be magical. We know it's going to be exciting. We know it's going to be insightful, and we know it's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And Dr. Bill is truthfully one of the most fundamentally decent people that I've met in my entire life. This man just is a real decent guy all around. Joe Ingram is one of the most fundamentally creative people that I've met in my life. He has a tremendous amount of creativity. And if you don't believe me, take a look at his socks. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you take the reign, Natalie, with Michelle. And this is going to be a fun few minutes. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
All righty, gentlemen. I missed you guys.
Missed you too.
So decent and creative. I know, decent and creative.
Yeah.
How do we do that, gentlemen? Decent and creative. Talk to me. What have you learned thus far from the Quantum Leap Forum, and what are you going to bring to it? Decently and creatively.
Ooh, all the rules. I feel my creativity is being stifled at this
Okay,
point.
I can leave.
Wait, Michelle's like,
Joe,
don't do this to me.
Joe,
Yeah.
I didn't think anything slowed you down. Come on now.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. No, but one of the things I want to talk about, there's been so much value dumped out in the last 2 days, right? We're going on 48 hours of just press the gas pedal and go. So one of the things that I want to look at and talk about when you say it is when it comes to leadership, right? The part of leadership means you have to be out front. You have to be the person that has the vision. And when it comes to vision, one of the things that I've noticed is that one of the exercises I have my people do when they go through training is I say, imagine now if you are a wolf. Okay, so you are a wolf, you're out in the woods, you're walking around, you're thinking of one thing, I need to eat today, right? And you're running around and there's a rabbit in front of you. And with that rabbit, what is the rabbit? I don't need to be the food today, right? And so the rabbit's got a mission of not being the food, but the wolf is sitting back saying, you know what? I need to eat. And it's a single focus, and that rabbit starts running, that wolf starts chasing, okay? And the wolf's vision is, I got to eat. And it's going crazy. It is bouncing all over the place because why? That rabbit is jumping every which way. And we've all seen a panic rabbit doesn't stick to let's just run forward, right? It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the vision of eating is what's pushing that wolf forward. Okay. Now imagine if you can't see the rabbit. How crazy does that wolf look? Right? If you can't see the rabbit and you don't know what it's chasing, right? And that's what I look at as a leader. As a leader, can you share the vision with your team that we're chasing that rabbit? Because if nobody sees it, you're this crazy person with an idea that can't motivate anybody to follow them because it's just jumping everywhere. You just look crazy. Where if the whole wolf pack showed up and could see the rabbit, what's going to happen? It's going to be a team effort and go after it, and everybody gets to eat. And poor rabbit. Okay, I'm supposed to say that, right? But it's like whatever, it's a rabbit. But what I'm trying to say to you is that how well can you explain the vision that you have for where you're going to someone who is on your team, to someone who wants to invest? We had the angel investor panel earlier where people came and presented. Those that presented well got interest because they were able to show the rabbit that they were chasing. and that's what I look for. So
Can I just do a side tour here with the rabbit?
absolutely.
Because, there have been stories of animals that are supposedly chasing each other, actually bonding and becoming friends. So how does your story end when the rabbit befriends the wolf?
The rabbit still dinner. It just went smiling. It just went smiling because I'm about hitting the goal, and we're gonna get the goal, and we're gonna get there, and that's what's gonna be. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Bill, what about the rabbit and the wolf?
I often call Dr. Bill Rabbit.
Yeah, and I call Dr. Joe Wolf.
Wolf.
So yeah, as always, I agree totally with Joe. That's why we work so good together. And I'll also have this is the only forum that we're allowed to sit next to each other. Mo's taking a good risk, and they brought Michelle in here as the referee, so that was awesome. Yeah, me and Joe do a class together called Unpacking, and it's to get rid of the garbage, so we get people thinking in that realm. When we do that, we have to give people, it's about getting rid of the garbage that we carry around. And so we have to show people how to have a vision for a better life than they have. Most people will come in, woe is me, whatever's been programmed into them, and we have the opportunity to let them release that. And all it is leadership with basically we're showing them what the rabbit is, because here's the goal is that you don't want to feel like this. We want to take it over here. And in between that, we want to show them exactly what it feels like, what it tastes like, what it smells like to get that goal. And that's all leadership. I know in my business, when I'm working with my patients, they all come in and say, I want to stop hurting. I want to, stop this. I want to feel better. Okay, but what else does that mean? And how does that, we have to package up the vision so that they can see it very well. But they've got to see it, taste it, touch it. They've, just like we've heard about all weekend, we have to just encompass that same feeling before it happens so that they can go out and they can have those results in advance before they happen to make it real for them. And
Natalie went to
take
care of her rabbit. She went to go take care of her rabbit. It hit her personally because
I know, guys. There's certain lines. There's certain lines you guys can't cross. Okay,
right?
Don't you guys know that Natalie is a big rabbit fan? Joe, let's piggyback off what Bill said, since you're a Clubhouse addict now, like myself. So go ahead and piggyback.
So to me, what Bill's putting out there is that everyone is actually looking for some kind of leadership. So everybody is looking for somebody who can lead them to the next level, whether it's personal, whether it's business. And so in that capacity, if you're looking to say, I want to improve my health, right? Don't come to me, go to Dr. Bill. Okay, because he's got the experience, he's got everything that he can put together for you to do it. If we want to work on your brain, we want to work on some other things, you want to sell something, then you come and talk to me and we're going to be able to put a program together. You want to fix your finances, we're going to go that way over with Michelle. Okay, and so when you look at that and say, are you aligning yourself with the right people? Are you looking for that? Yes, as a Clubhouse addict, right? I'm the Clubhouse Genius at theclubhousegenius.com, right? If you go there, you're right, and you'll find tutorial videos, because my answer is it's going to be new for a lot of people. So I put out free videos to say, here, let me show you the right way to utilize something. But as I say there, I say, look, there's people at every level. Regardless of what app you're on, whatever you're doing, there's people at a different level. So if you can reach your hand down and help to pull somebody up, if you reach your hand up, somebody else can grab it and help you to go up. And together, all of us move upward as opposed to be dragging down. And so that's what I look at and say, focus on where you're going.
Yeah, Joe, now Dr. Natalie was talking about the whole crab in the bucket analogy on the previous segment, where, why can't we just stand on each other's shoulders and pull each other up, and versus being those that grab and pull each other down. I think that's a big difference between management and leadership, is having the managers will pull you down so they can stay and continue to manage, where leadership will continue to bring their whole team up and make sure they are able to see that vision. So I'm gonna kick this back over to Dr. Bill really quick. Because it sounds like you not only need to lead, your business, and you're great at marketing and you're always giving value, but you also, in a way, have to lead your clients to better health. So it's not necessarily looking at leadership as leading a company or organization, but also leading your clients. When you get down to like that one-to-one intimate personal leadership, what's one of the most important things that you think a leader should have to see success, so that way everybody can see the vision and ultimately get that rabbit?
Well, great question, Michelle.
That was awesome. She incorporated rabbit again.
Good job. Good job. In the book Good to Great, they talk about who to put on your bus. So, and when you were talking about the crabs in the bucket, it was the same thing about people pulling you down. And I guess it depends on who's on your bus and who's on your team. And as a leader, you have to have people that can be led in the first place. So with my patients coming in, sometimes I have to fire patients before we start, because I'll do a consultation. I'll say, all right, well, great. We have this and that, and we can do this, and I've diagnosed this, and here's what you have to do. And they go, well, wait, isn't there just a pill? It sounds like a lot of work. I didn't want to really have to put an effort on to get my health better. And I'm sure you hear the same thing in finances. It's like, well, I don't really want to save money because I like spending money, because then I get things and that makes me happy. And
you buy
right, but I want to be a millionaire at the same time.
Yes. I want to be a millionaire, sleep till noon, and not work.
Yep.
And it doesn't work like that. You have to lead the people. But the number one thing that people have to have, and I went decades in my office figuring this out, because I always thought that if I just learned a little bit more, and I have lots of expensive wallpaper. This degree, this is a certification. I'm going to go this. Oh, I have to learn more about this because I got to
have food on my wall. No degrees.
You know what?
You'll never find broccoli.
No. But look at the bacon.
Right.
What's going on? But the first thing that I found out, Mo was just talking before about the segment began about NLP. And that's what I found, because it really doesn't matter what I know or what they can do, unless we can change their mind, because it's the mindset to get some go. And as the leader, I have to have the mindset, and I have to step back and say, all right, how can I lead this person? Is it simply motivation? Is it showing them? Are they kinesthetic? Are they auditory? How do they best learn? What techniques can we do to get that garbage out of their head so that we can put them on our bus and go forward? And Joe is like magical at that. When we get in a group setting, he can take them away, and he has a gift of just kind of picking up, okay, I can tell that this person's personality is this way. I'm going to direct the comments this way to this person, that way to this person. And I think that's why he's developed such a successful business and following all around. So,
absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about the Dr. Bill J diet, because from my understanding, Joe recently went on this, and it has had a great transformation. Let's talk a little bit about this, Joe, if you don't mind, just to give Dr. Bill some credit.
Absolutely. So what I do is, Dr. Bill and I are about 25 to 30 miles apart, and I have to walk to him to get food and then walk back home. So,
and folks, here's why I asked that, because I knew that he was going to answer that way. And here's the point: things are much easier and simpler, or rather, things are much simpler than you make them. Okay, it's not always easy to do it, but it's simple. Right? You want to lose weight, you eat less, you work out more. You want to make more money, you got to think smart, work harder. Like, things are so much simpler, but not always easy. So in conclusion, guys, I appreciate you guys coming in here, making an appearance, and I appreciate and thank the two of you and honor the two of you for your friendship, for your loyalty, and for all of the wonderful memories that the two of you and I have had over the years. I can think of probably 19,000 different scenarios where Joe and I have laughed. I can think of maybe 7,000 with Bill because I haven't known you as long, but I want to just take a second to honor and appreciate our friendship and your sense of humors, right? Because ultimately, I think that has what that's an underrated attribute to have in life, is a sense of humor. And I was talking with Matthew Lesko yesterday. You guys know the question mark guy, and I loved what he said. He said, I don't take myself serious, but I take my work very seriously. Absolutely. And I really resonated with him when he said that. I'm like, wow, Matthew Lesko, of all people on the planet, is like my soul brother. I don't know if I should admit that or not, because, you know, he has a very eccentric.
Some of your jackets, Mo.
No question mark suits though.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I want to give you guys the floor to just conclude, and then we're going to move on to the next segment. And thank you so much, my dear friend Michelle Farrell, for being a part of this event and helping with this panel. In conclusion, Joe Ingram, final words for our audience.
So what I want to do is take the time to shout out Dr. Bill. So in the humor part of me going to get my food was not it. Dr. Bill is the one that helps you work here and on your body, which most doctors are one or the other. And so with him, I was able to determine the allergies that my body was reacting to. And he was probably the only person on the planet that could ever tell me this is what has to actually be done. And so I enjoy him, and I enjoy the ability for us to laugh and go through things. But yeah, 30 pounds in 30 days, because I no longer eat the things that inflame me as it goes through. But
30 pounds in 30 days. That is amazing. 30 pounds in 30 days. I've gained 30 pounds in 30 days before. Do I get do I get some credit for that?
Yes.
It was when Olive Garden had the unlimited soup and salad thing. I kept going there every day. Right. Bad idea. Dr. Bill, final thoughts. We can't. Did we lose you, Dr.
Joe,
Bill?
you were so marvelous. You actually made Dr. Bill speechless for the first time in his entire life.
What Dr. Bill wanted to say was that what he enjoys most about our relationship.
I told you, Joe, I told everyone that when the two of you come together, the energy is a little overwhelming. And so I just hope and pray that Dr. Bill didn't get completely annihilated from the universe or something.
No,
he just, I hope he didn't pull a Thanos just now, Joe. Oh, there he is. Thank God. Dr. Bill, we were worried. Don't do that.
I get so sick of hearing Joe all the time. I said I got to do something.
We were worried about you, man. By the way, someone is asking, it would take 6 to 7 hours to walk that far. How does that work? Well, find out next time. We're going to bring Joe and Bill back at the next event to continue that. That's a great question. Dr. Bill, final thoughts before we end this.
Final thoughts is get around a group of people that lift you up, push you, and make you do the work. When me and Joe, and you get together along, we can cry a little bit and we'll say, oh, this is that. And then we slap each other upside the head and say, you know, pull up your big boy panties and get to work. Yes, it's going to hurt. You run through the fire. You don't stand in the middle of it. And get around a bunch of people that share that mindset with you and helps pull you forward. It was like Dr. Natalie was talking about before. We don't want the crabs pulling you down. We want the superheroes pushing you up. You want to stand on the shoulders of your friend.
Right. And most of the crabs are afraid to be the one at the bottom that isn't going to get out. And when you no longer view it as, instead of all of us getting out, the answer is I have to get out before the other person. That's where everybody starts.
You guys are making me hungry, man. I'm about to go to Joe's Crab Shack. You guys got me craving some crab now. Don't talk about the crab or lobster or seafood around me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But on that note, I want to thank you, Dr. Bill. Thank you, Joe. You guys are awesome friends, and it's an honor for me to call you guys that. So thank you, guys, and thank you, Michelle, for everything. And with that being said, we will see you guys very soon.
Bye-bye.
God bless. God bless. God bless. Let's roll in. And now for the final segment of this incredible 2-day event, we decided to go out with something special. You know, look at that, Natalie. Look at you having fun now. We can't hear you.
Real. Can't hear you.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
I had to bring the wolf because I didn't want to be the bunny.
Amazing.
gosh.
And folks, you know, we have spent 2 days now. We've spent 2 days now doing deep dives into how to lead your life mentally, financially, relationally, spiritually, and physically. You guys have heard us speak to dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of leaders from around the world, literally dozens and dozens. Almost 100 people have shared the stage in the last 2 days. And consequently, whether it was starting off this 2-day event with James Malinchak, leading into Sharon Lecter, David Meltzer, Joe Vitale, we had one of the stars from the film The Godfather join us in a rare public appearance. And I could go on and on and on. And I'm going to give Natalie the floor now, because Natalie and Goldie are going to talk to two very special people that are apropos to close off and finish this 2-day event. So go ahead, Dr. Natalie Forrest.
Well, thank you, Mo. And I am beyond thrilled and excited for the next two guests, because it is my understanding that they don't always do these events. But we have been very, very fortunate, thanks to one of our own, Brenda Jones. She helped us get Michael Silvers and Mary Gloryfield on the show, on this big stage with us. And this is rare, this is important, because they help in so many ways, and I don't want to give it away because I know we've got some questions for you, but you can see Michael has the mentorstudio.com, add his name, of course. So we are going to focus in this panel especially on the mentoring part, which is so crucial when we're talking about leadership and how to take a quantum leap. So thank you, Mary, for being here. Thank you, Michael. We're thrilled to have you. And let me start just by asking, what do you think, or what did you think? That was incorrect grammar. What is a quantum leap to you? What was it before? Has anything changed in the last 2 days?
You know, you want me to start, Mary?
Go ahead, Michael.
We work so well. We've worked together for almost 10 years now. So we start to, you know, for me, the biggest thing when you take a look at it, it's you know, as you put this all together and really take your life and create that legacy of who you're going to be with everything that you've learned, because we know every speaker you put on, right? We've seen them, put them on stage and been there, but it's that legacy that you leave for others. And I wanted to say one thing for people who, you know, the one thing about Mary for me has been that, you know, she was, you know, Tony's vice president for Tony Robbins for 18 years. And so with 3 million people they saw together in 82 countries and 4 million miles, that starts a legacy piece that I have still not seen on this planet yet. But the thing about it is, knowing Mary, and this is a lesson through Mary, is that it was always to be of service to others. Mm-hmm. So with everything that everybody's learning this weekend from, you know, from Kevin and from Sharon and all the learnings that you get, and James, it's not about you. It's about how can you take everything that you've learned and make a difference in the world and share it and leave a legacy. And even if you're young and you're like, legacy, I get it, trust me. It's still, how can I be of service, taking all this information today, solve the problems tomorrow, and that will help build. And it changes every single time.
That's been the theme throughout most every speaker, Michael, and it's just nice for us to end on this. And we had a women's panel, Mary, an hour ago or something like that, and I kind of got on my horse. So I wanna say that, you know, if you have made it about other people in the past and maybe you've gotten burned, or, you know, you went to go leave that legacy and it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, you got to still give the people coming through your life and the future people the benefit of the doubt. You know, that it sounds like that's a great idea, Michael, but there is a little bit of difficulty sometimes in that, you know, because sometimes you do experience some, you know, hardships. But just for everybody listening and watching, just give the next person a chance. Because ultimately the legacy that you leave will fall back on you, and a legacy, if it's a true legacy, it's not going to just always be easy.
Right. Absolutely.
I think a legacy too is really about the decisions that you make along the way. Mm-hmm. So if you stay true to your values and your outcome, you're going to leave a legacy. And it's also about bringing people along, as someone mentioned before us. It's I always saw my job as growing the people that reported to me, growing them so that they could move on to the next level.
Yes.
That was my job, that in addition to other things, of course, but I had to grow the staff as well.
Mm-hmm. Was that ever hard for you when like you're just really, what's the word I'm looking for? Grooming somebody to be amazing, and then they're going to be just perfect, and then they leave. Like, do you ever have a little empty nest syndrome, or are you always
Absolutely. And you do feel it's almost like a loss, if you will,
permanent.
But you always know that that was your outcome. You have to be happy. You achieved your outcome, and now you've grown someone to take over, and you may even grow somebody to take your job, which is
exactly
which is really ultimately the outcome, right? You want to replace yourself so you can grow and you can move on.
Yes, good
Right.
point.
And that's hard sometimes.
I think the great part about that too, and that's a great point, because Mary and I've, in our careers, she's been in this forever, right? So for me, it's been 22 years.
I'm old.
No. We both have grandkids. We can say what we want. Remember, Mary, we can tell stories. So but it's that part of it's, if you look at the abundance, right, and you look at everything out there, because, for both of us, we were always grooming. Between the coaching divisions that have 30,000 people and the speakers and the trainers in all the countries, it's not about the numbers, but we realized that we were always grooming, and that they would leave eventually, that they would go off, or they would take the position we're in because we were headed somewhere else. And I think if you come from that abundance mindset, and you're always going to run into things, happens all the time, right? But if you have that, if you start to just think, okay, you get your moment of, right, and you cry, and it's like when the kids leave for college or what, but you have that moment, and we all fall down, right? Mary, how many events have we done where we just go like this? Okay, just hide in the back corner. We'll get through this. It'll be good. But if you have
I've never done that.
Right. I know, really. Oh, we have stories. We could have a whole show on that. But if you have that abundance side, you just keep going, but you realize, again, this is where it gets back to, it's not about us. It's about them. And I want them to shine. It's like Henry Ford when he built masterminds, for Ford Motors. He always put people smarter and better than around him. And that's in any business, for anybody out there. It doesn't matter what business you're in. Gather a team around you that's faster, better, smarter, more altruistic, and that will create your shine. And that's where then you don't mind if they go, because you realize they're going to go out and make a difference too.
I love it. I think that's true in you want to hire people that are smarter, more creative than you are. First of all, it makes you look better, right? And it also is better for the company, better for everybody involved. It's just like, the president of the United States. I remember when Ronald Reagan was elected. I'll use somebody that's not here. And he always put brilliant people around him, and that's why he achieved some of the success he did. So I think that smart people put smarter people around them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That reminds me, of course, of the best and brightest, right? That's what you're talking about. Always surround yourself with the best and brightest. And on the other hand, what I also hear is this evening I'm in metaphors, but you all know this song, Wind Beneath My Wings. So on the one hand, it's like you're surrounding yourself with the best and brightest. And then on the other hand, you're giving everybody wings, which is so important if we really want to not just have our legacy, but make an impact in the world. And the one question that I always get, and that I think some people here throughout this 2-day event have also asked as well, mentorship is important. We all get it. I mean, by now we sort of get that we need a mentor, we need a coach, something of that sort. How do I find the perfect mentor? Because that's what you two are helped with as well. Match you up with the perfect one. So how do I find the perfect mentor for me?
Yeah. Mary, you want me to jump on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Take that, Michael.
Okay. So I used to do this from stage all the time. I would tell people you need to have 3 coaches, 2 mentors, and a mastermind. And you need a coach who's going to kick your, that's a clinical term, the rear part of you. You have a coach who really works on a little bit into your business. Then you have the coach who looks at your mind, your spirituality, your body, your physical therapist, whatever that is, your personal trainer. You have the two mentors and a mentor is farther down the road than you. So it's about lifestyle or the money they make, whatever that is. And then the mastermind's group of individuals that get together and create something out of nothing. And you need that within your business. But to pick the perfect mentor, the problem becomes the word perfect, right? It's not about perfect or not. The mentor will come and you will show up. But what we realized in all the years and all the stages we've been in, like an example, I was in Singapore back in 2010, and I worked a lot of years with Harv Eker. I was director of coaching for Peak Potentials. And so Harv said, go on stage. There's 4,000 people on there. And I've trained trainers, but it's not really, he's like, no, you need to go out. I need to get on a phone call. And I asked him later, why did he trust that? He's like, because I only gather the best around me. But it's that, but he trusted his team. And he trusted that I would go out and do what was necessary for the organization because of the belief we all had. So if you take a look at that belief we all had, do you believe that you can have those people surround you who are those great mentors? And not everybody does. So part of the legacy Mary and I put together was this mentor studio, right? Became an idea of how do we gather the best mentors on the planet, put them in one group, and then let members join and get to know them on a weekly basis, which you'd never be able to do before. It hasn't been done before. We know all the programs out there, right? We work with them all. And it's the one piece everybody seemed to just, it's not happened yet. Trust me, now it will happen 25. We go, it'll happen 25 times. But so we just started to call people we know and said, would you mentor? Would you mentor for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years? If we do this for 5 years? And will you travel with us in 2022? Because Mary's already starting to book the big events. Will you travel with us around the world and now mentor for those underserved? Because the whole purpose of the Mentor Studio is to serve the underserved. So we realized, so we started out with a call for mentors, and we have 284 mentors within like 45 days. And now we're saying is join as a member, and in 30 days you can apply to be a mentor and work with the biggest think tank. But it's back to the of service piece, because we've said no to a lot of people. We've said no to a lot of people. So it's that, and we're telling people who are looking for mentors and looking for people out there, just go to the Mentor Studio and just join as a member, because you're going to learn. We have almost 200 hours of virtual already. We have a speaker bureau and a podcasting, but it's the right person will, hey, Olga, the right person will come to you. And like for me, I've been in the industry for so long, and then I meet Mary at Peak Potentials. Changed my life because I knew nothing compared to her. And I was quiet. When I worked with Harv and Mary, I just soaked it up.
Well, I had the best mentors in the world. So that was a lot. And I always refer to myself as behind the curtains, because I am the person that is behind the curtains, literally, working with the speakers and making sure that they get their outcome, so our clients get their outcome, that our promises are met from stage. So I truly am a behind the curtain person. I was going to say girl, but I'm not sure that that's politically correct anymore.
But that's the brilliance, right? That's where Mary and I have come, because if you want to produce a show with 10, 15, 20,000 people in the audience, you let Mary do it, right? You work with all their brilliance. And then Mary says, if someone's going to MC that show or teach or train, Michael, you go do that, right? Right. And I do what Mary says. That's all. But that's why we work so well together as a team, because we look at where are you great, where do you need help, and we do that with all the mentors. What do you need this week? What are we going to teach on? What does the team need, and how are we going to actually do what we want to do in 2022? And the mentor's like, well, aren't you going to tell us? And we said, no, we're going to have a monthly call planning 2022, and you're all part of it. And they're like, okay. Because it's a community. It's a team, and it's a community.
I just went and looked at it. You've got a lot of really, great looking on paper as well, great looking people, I'm sure, and like lots of experience. And I was checking it out. I'm excited about it. It looks like you're both doing some incredible things. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah. And let me jump off of that because we talked throughout these 2 days about building a team and about the collaboration that is so key. And I believe what I heard, and please correct me if I misheard, that because Michael, you were sort of saying, what are you good at? What are you good at? At the same time, it is really knowing yourself and saying, what am I not good at? Right? That's how you build a successful company and how you build a successful team. Am I getting that correctly from you two as well?
I think that's very accurate. And I think also it's you manage to your strengths, not to your weaknesses. So you have to understand what your strengths really are and what your team's strengths are. So you manage to the strengths, not to the weakness. Sometimes you try to correct weaknesses in staff or in yourself sometimes, and it never works. Just always manage to the strengths. And I also think that ultimately the buck stops there. You're the one that has to make the hard decisions. But you've got to work with your staff and have them, you have to bring them along and engage them into every activity and support their creativity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and what we do every week is, we get together first of all as a team, the managing partners, and we just do the very simple: what worked, what didn't work, what are we going to do? I mean, we go back to the simple sandwiches, right, or the feedback loops. At the same time, we trust our members and our mentors enough where we also do that with them. We'll say, this week this didn't go exactly the way we expected, but Michael, Mary, you're our mentors, and all the mentors we have, and we are no more or less than you are, and we learn as much from you as you do from us, which creates that synergistic relationship that truly builds us as human beings. Yes.
I think also, I mean, from Tony Robbins, I mean, I've learned so much from him, but one thing I learned from him, he works harder than anybody else on his team. And so that was a good lesson for me, was I needed to work harder than anybody else on the team. And he always prepped, no matter how many times he had done an event. He may have done it 100 times, 200 times. He prepped weeks before every event. Again, doesn't matter. So it's always about being prepared, and some great lessons from him. And at the end of the night, we always had a little meeting, a little get together, no matter what time it was, even if it was 2:00 in the morning, we, which he's known for, we would get together, and it was like, what was great and what didn't work and what do we need to correct for tomorrow or the next event, kind of thing. And it was just such a valuable lesson, because I do that for myself every time I do an event or coach somebody, I always do it. And I work with Michael on that. Michael can tell me where I was off or what happened great, that kind of thing. So it helps having a team.
That's what I was curious when, Michael, you said, wow, that's another day. I wanted to hide. That's another panel. But can you just share like one crazy story of something that just went terribly wrong, and like what happened and what did you learn from it and how did you correct it? I'm dying to know that you did that. You dropped the ball, and now I want to know.
I can share.
Would you?
Well, yes, I can share something that went wrong and how it was corrected.
Okay.
But doing a large event in Atlanta, 20,000 people in the arena.
Oh boy.
And we had a number of celebrities on stage that were coming up. Tony was running late. Larry King was scheduled to be on at a certain time, and I was going to have to push him by at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I went into the green room to speak to him and said, I know we were going to have you on at this time, and this is the time now because we're running a bit late. And he said, I have a flight back to Washington, D.C. I have dinner at the White House.
Oh,
I can't stay.
God.
I have to go. So I'm like, okay, give me a minute to let me try to figure this out. And of course, I couldn't talk to Tony. He's on stage. So it it had to be me making that decision, right? Because whatever decision was going to make, somebody was going to be upset. And I knew that we had made a commitment to our customer that Larry King was going to be live. So that was my outcome.
So what did you do?
I called Tony's pilot and said, we were in Atlanta, so it wasn't that, not a far trip to DC. I said, can you get Larry, what time does Larry King have to leave here in order to be back in DC at X time? So they told me. So I said, okay, be prepared, that you're going to take Larry King to DC. I had staff call his assistant, get his tuxedo to the airport.
Oh my God.
I had arranged a location for him at the FBO to change clothes and limo to take him to the White House and so forth. And so I went back in and told Larry, okay, here's what we're going to do. And he was like, oh, I can't take Tony's plane. And I said, well, it's already arranged. It's done deal. It's what you're going to do.
He did it?
He took the plane. But then I had to tell Tony that he was going to be stuck in Atlanta for the night.
So you would never have thought of you're so cute. I could see you doing a little side step on. Like there was nobody to tell him hey, we need to just tread water for a minute, or we need to switch the order. You don't do that with Tony Robbins. That's a huge responsibility in order for you to pull. That's amazing.
We were, he has a teleprompter. So we were sending notes to him about the timing and that Larry King had to be out at a certain time. And one thing with Tony is if he's in the middle of something and he's getting an outcome for a client, he's not going to stop. That person is the most important person in the room at the moment. And so I had to honor that as well.
That's good to hear that. You know what I mean? That's cool. I think people listening and watching, it's the end of the night. If you've been with us this long, here's a nugget for you. This is the stuff that I live for. I love this stuff.
So Mary, still to this day, is the person who put Tony Robbins on the Great Wall of China and they closed it down and had him teach. Has not been done again. So if you want to get it done, but that's, it's these kind of things that we have happen. And before I met Mary, we were doing a big event in London at Ali Pali. And Ali Pali is very long. So 5,000 people, it's very long. It's not wide. It's 5,000 people is a long way to go. And we're right in the middle of an induction. And this is right into a big sale. These are $1 million sales. And this couple comes running in the back door with a drum and a tree, literally a whole tree. And they're drumming and running with a tree. And that's one of those event moments where you just think it's all over. They're going to fire whoever, right? We're all in charge of this in the back. And you've just got to let it go. You've just got to. So one of our assistant trainers, this whole Aussie group, Aussies, you're amazing, just literally does a soccer tackle, gets the guy with the tree. It was like a whole pine tree. The woman drumming, they finally just sort of shunted her to the side, moved her off. And that's where, as a trainer, you have to decide what to do from stage. So the trainer, of course, said, as you hear the drumming of the rest of your life, if it moves forward, you can see it growing in greenness. I mean, you have to just use what happens there, and then you continue on. And you just continue on, and you honor what happened, and you move forward, and you don't stop. You don't. That's like with COVID, right? And that's the word nobody wants to mention. We were all event people, Mary and I, and all within a month we were having hundreds of hours of virtual. We had just turned it on a dime because we're like, okay, world's changed. Let's take a breath, right? We'll be around still. And now, what do we need? Honor what's going on in the world. Honor people feeling whatever the safety or whatever they need, and then just moving forward and going back from there.
Michael, who did you call when you crapped your pants like I did? Who was your first call? I gotta change what I'm doing. Who was your first call, Mary or who?
Yeah, it would be someone like Mary, and it's usually not the trainer, right? You got to let Harvecker, he's got to do what he's got to do. So I always had a team around me if somebody got to call and go, and sometimes I call my wife from Australia, going, "You're not gonna this is," because she did a lot of this with me. I'm like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened," or I need a solution now. So you also find the people around you, instead of that, will go, "Oh my God," we'll say, all right, I got it. Just give me 5 things to do right now, and then I'll go and get it done.
But who is your COVID call?
Mary.
Oh, okay. All right. Aw, all right. Great stories. This is great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thank you. And I think it's amazing because you just mentioned, some of the things that happen on the life stage, right? And we've all been there where you think something works this way and it's just maybe, a different scale here. But we've had that in life events like this one, right? We've been live for 2 days and you were kind enough to also wait for a few moments in the green room because at a live event, stuff happens. And like you said, we have an amazing team behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. And stuff happens. So when you just said, Michael and Mary, you pointed it out too, of course, that we just had to go virtual. There's like nothing. When you're virtual, you're still having a live event. Now you may not have the fact that Larry King needs to be moving quickly to dinner at the White House, but maybe you have the internet in Texas with Dr. Joe Vitale playing bazooka. I mean, what are those issues then nowadays for you? Because I know what it is for us during this 2-day event. What have you run into just in a different environment now?
I think I've done some virtual events and also had people live rather than just on Zoom. So they've had to go into a studio live,
Yes.
and there's a lot of challenges around that, particularly with COVID now.
Right.
So there's many things that have to be done in order to accommodate people, even if it's a virtual event. It's a live virtual event. I just had Sylvester Stallone at an event, and there was, it was very nerve-wracking because I wasn't physically there. I had to do everything remotely with him and his staff and ensure that he had exactly what was requested on site. And when you're not physically there, for me, it's much more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, you lose part of, probably in the last year, I've done about 200 of these already. And we've done, 8, 10, 12-hour events and 2-day, 3-day. And the biggest thing is I still treat it like a regular event. I have the run sheet. I have the backups. I could go, because I MC a lot of these too. So if I'm an MC, there's things I should be doing, things I should not be doing. So you basically get the person planted who's really good at, we've done StreamYard, we've done Reststream, I still like Zoom as the platform because I can control it and there's a lot of things I can do. The virtual backgrounds people love now, and then you can broadcast that out through StreamYard and through Reststream. I like Zoom as the platform. And no, I'm not part of Zoom. But at the same time, it's just it's getting it done. So I just treat it like a normal event. It's everything's got a backup, and if it all fails, it's fine too.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited because, when we put this thing together, as the two of you know, the timing for the speakers is a big part of it. And we specifically wanted the two of you to close this event out. Metaphorically, this is the end of the movie. And the reason why is because of the time and dedication and passion that you guys have really spent in your life when it comes to personal and professional business development. And so, because few have paid their dues in this industry as much as the two of you. And so for that reason, we feel that it is very apropos to have this 2-day event kind of reach its peak with the two of you. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to give the floor to each of you to speak from the heart to the people watching. Many of them have been here the whole time and have, stacks of different notes. And really, what is a big takeaway that you can give to them to go out into their life, go out into for their business, go out into the world, and take a quantum leap, which is the theme of this 2-day event. So I'll start with Michael, and then we'll go to Mary. Michael, floor is yours.
Yeah, the biggest thing I say is, so you're going to have all these notes, and we know how that works. But just think of tomorrow. And you can think of, so what am I going to do tomorrow, and who can I be of service to for this week, and how many solutions can I actually create for people out there, and then do it tonight. Because what happens is we're always waiting till tomorrow. Do that thing tonight. Do that. Okay, here's where my business is. First of all, very simply, find yourself a coach right away. Make sure that you have a mentor right away. Make sure then you have 4 to 8 people around you who are going to help mastermind your business. Make that happen this week. And then take a look at your business and every action and goal that you set. What is the reason for it? What's the why, how, what? There's a lot of ways. The why, what, how, and what if. And put that into every decision you do over the next week. Build what's called a business funnel, which is what comes into your business, what's your marketing, all that. And every layer, somebody meets somebody else along the way. And where do you take them in the pathway? And get it done this week. Don't do it next week. Don't do it the week after. And start it tonight. And you will be so much further, and integrate everything that you learned over the last 2 days. But don't get hung up on, oh, there's so many notes, I don't know how to do this. Just do it, and then let the notes integrate over the next month.
Thank you so much, Michael Silver. Someone in the virtual auditorium, Virginia, saying, I am down to selecting from 2 coaches, having a hard time deciding one. I thought I made up my mind. Virginia, visit thementorstudio.com. If you visit thementorstudio.com, you don't have these kind of problems. Okay. If you have a tough time, if you have a hesitancy with a coach, that's probably not the coach for you. It's supposed to be a smooth thing. It's supposed to be a natural thing. And my recommendation for anyone looking for a mentor, looking for a coach, go to thementorstudio.com, because very few people have paid their dues in this industry like Mary and Michael. And with that, I want to give the floor to Mary to send some final thoughts to our audience.
I think some final thoughts, thank you, Mo, is don't be afraid to rebrand yourself. With everything going on today, many of our jobs have changed, are non-existent any longer. And from chaos comes creativity. So I would just say, look at rebranding yourself. What do you love? What have you always wanted to do that you haven't done? And take some steps. I mean, don't be afraid to step out there and do something different and move forward. Keep one step in front of the other. Rebranding, no matter how old you are. I mean, I've had to rebrand myself several times as well, just in different areas. I just think continue learning. I think somebody said the best money you can do is for yourself, educate yourself. The best, I think it was Warren Buffett actually, the best money you can spend is the money that you spend on educating yourself. Doesn't have to be college. It can be all kinds of different educations, but just keep learning, rebranding, and just remember, in times of chaos, that's when creativity happens.
Absolutely. And it looks like Virginia said she will check out thementorstudio.com. Thanks. You're very welcome, Virginia. Final question for the two of you before we wrap this full 2-day event up. The two of you know about the work that we're doing here at the Los Angeles Tribune and, of course, the Quantum Leap Forum. And you saw the work that we're doing in our speakers. I'd like to hear, what are your thoughts on the Quantum Leap Forum and what has it meant for you? And what do you feel it means for the community at large? Let's start with you, Mary, and then Michael. Mary, please.
The Quantum Leap Forum. I think education, what you're doing to educate people and bring different people together to educate, is really critical. And I mean, I guess Quantum Leap means so many different things, but it's really elevating yourself, taking yourself to the next level. So it's very exciting. I'm thrilled to be part of it. Thank you.
Michael.
Yeah, and the great thing about that too is I was born and raised in LA for 33 years, lived in LA. So the LA Tribune is, this is all part of my life growing up, and that you're able to bring this forum out for education, for training, to have people take action, and to come from a community where, because you have a brand or they trust you more, then they're willing to move and do things differently. And so I honor you, Mo, and the team, and Natalie and Goldie, for doing what you do, because you're putting a great brand on it, and then people will listen more. That's how you make the change they'll perceive as mentors and as coaches and trainers, and get it done. And I thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Michael. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, and that's going to do it. We had a fantastic time, and, I know for many years, many of these clips will last for many years down the road, and hopefully, you guys got what you needed, but I highly encourage people to come back, revisit. For the thousands and thousands of registered users that got their ticket, the full video clip will be sent out very shortly. And with that, thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team. Goldie, Natalie, final words, and we'll close out.
Goldie?
I'll say that it's been 2 days and I am confident enough, Mo, to say I still cannot put a definition on Quantum Leap. I'm going to have to really marinate on so many. Even Mary just gave a completely different answer. I thought I had it figured out. And then Somebody talks about education. Somebody talks about responsibilities. Somebody talks about being the best person you can be. We had the one man say that the quantum and the movement, the pain of the movement. There's so much spinning around in my head, and I just mow. And Natalie, thanks for letting all of us be a part of this. Like, I'm very sincere when I say that. Like, it's such a great Harvard, as what's her name? God, messed up on my name.
Desiree.
Yeah, what she said is right. Like, it really,
Absolutely.
really is. So thank you, Mo. Thank you, Natalie.
Absolutely. Natalie, final words, brief, please, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, thank you. Brief. I'll be very brief. This has been amazing. It's been a great experience. And what I think I want to leave everybody with are two things. Number one, it's a quote by Arianna Huffington, which is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. And that's been a theme throughout this, that everybody who's spoken has failed at one point or another. And what I would recommend is that we stop defining ourselves by our failures or perceived failures, because what I believe is it's not the failures or the knockdowns that define you, but it's actually you standing up that defines you, because that is your ascension to the next level. That is your quantum leap.
Amazing. And that'll do it, guys. Until next time, thank you on behalf of the entire Los Angeles Tribune team. Remember to always keep the faith.